The crystal halls of Prime were silent. Queen Yi Jin stood by the tall window, watching 3 moons rise over her capital city. Behind her, Admiral Bora waited with her head bowed. The admiral held a data tablet in her trembling hands. "Your Majesty," Bora said quietly, "I have the final report from the Battle of Nebula." Yi Jin did not turn around. She knew what was coming. She had felt it in her chest for 3 days now, a cold emptiness that grew with each passing hour. "Tell me," she said. The flagship Eternal Dawn was destroyed by plasma fire. The entire command deck was hit first. There were no escape pods launched, no survivors detected. "Princess Hayes," Bora's voice broke. "She is confirmed killed in action." The Queen's reflection in the window did not change. Her face remained still as stone. Only her fingers moved, pressing harder against the cold glass. "Show me the scan data." Bora approached and held out the tablet. The screen showed the debris field where Hayes' ship had been, thousands of metal fragments floating in space. The computer had analyzed every piece. No life signs, no biological traces, no rescue beacon. "We searched for 18 hours, Bora continued. "We sent recovery teams through the entire sector. There is nothing left, Your Majesty. They hit them with everything. The explosion was—" "Leave me," Yijin said. "My queen, the council wishes to discuss." "I said leave me." The queen's voice was ice. Bora bowed deeply and walked backward out of the room. The door sealed with a soft hiss. Alone now, Yijin finally moved. She walked to her desk and picked up a small hologram projector. She pressed the button. Light bloomed in the air, forming the image of a young woman in a pilot's uniform. Hay smiled in the frozen moment, her eyes bright with confidence. "I'll be back before you know it, Mother," the recorded voice said. "They won't know what hit them. I promise I'll come home." Yijin watched the message for the 100th time, then the 1000th. She played it over and over until the moons had crossed the sky. Her daughter's face, her daughter's voice, her daughter's promise. "You promised," Yijin whispered to the image. "You promised me." The hologram flickered and died. The queen sat in darkness for a long time. 3 days later, the funeral ceremony was held. Hayes' empty coffin was carried through the streets of the capital. Millions of lined the roads, their bioluminescent skin glowing pale blue in mourning. They sang the old death songs. They released light moths into the sky. Yijin stood on the palace balcony watching it all. She wore the black robes of grief, but her face showed nothing. She had cried all her tears in private. Now, in public, she was the strong queen her people needed. She raised her hand and the crowd fell silent. "My daughter died as she lived," Yijin announced. Her voice carried across the city through speakers. "She died fighting for our survival. She died protecting her people. She died with honor. We will remember her sacrifice. We will continue her fight. They will pay for every drop of blood they have spilled." The crowd roared approval. They chanted Hayes' name. They swore vengeance. Yijin let them have their anger. She felt it too, burning in her chest where the emptiness had been. But late that night, alone in her chambers, Yijin pulled up the military database. She entered her private access codes and opened the classified files on the Battle of Nebula. She read every report. She studied every sensor reading. She examined every scan of the debris field. Something was wrong. The debris pattern did not match a complete ship destruction. Some pieces were missing. The computer said it was normal, that explosions scattered material across space. But Yi Jin had commanded fleets before she became queen. She knew what total destruction looked like. This was not it. She pulled up the scan data from the fleet movements after the battle. They had stayed in the sector for 6 hours after destroying the Eternal Dawn. Why? They should have moved on immediately. They should have pressed their advantage. Instead, they had lingered as if searching for something. Or recovering something. Yijin's hand moved to her communication panel. She started to call Admiral Bora, then stopped. Bora would tell her she was in denial. The Admiral would say that grief was making her see patterns that were not there. The Council would agree. They would tell their queen to accept reality and move forward. But Yi Jin had not survived 40 years in galactic politics by accepting what others told her was real. She had built an empire by trusting her instincts. Her daughter was alive. Somewhere out there in the darkness of space, Hay was alive. The queen felt it in her bones. She felt it in her heart. She felt it in the same way she had felt Hay's first movements in the womb all those years ago. A mother knows. Yi Jin began making secret inquiries. She sent coded messages to intelligence operatives in neutral space. She offered massive rewards for any information about prisoners. She hired private investigators and bounty hunters. She used personal funds to pay for deep space reconnaissance missions into territory. Weeks passed, then months. Every lead turned cold, every report came back negative. No prisoners, no survivors, no hope. The Empire moved on, the war continued. New battles were fought, more soldiers died. The Council pressured Yi Jin to name a new heir. She refused, they pushed harder, she pushed back harder. 6 months after the Battle of Nebula, Yi Jin sat in her throne room, listening to Admiral Bora's latest military briefing. The Admiral talked about supply lines and fleet movements and casualty reports. Yi Jin heard none of it. She was thinking about the gap in the debris field, the 6 hours that had stayed, the missing pieces. "Your Majesty," Bora asked, "did you hear my question?" Yi Jin focused on the Admiral. "Repeat it." "I asked if you wanted to authorize the new offensive against the supply depot at Station. It would cost us significant forces, but intelligence suggests." "Do it," Yi Jin said. "Burn everything, take no prisoners." Bora blinked in surprise. Before Hay's death, the Queen had always counseled mercy where possible. Now she ordered total destruction. "Yes, Your Majesty, right away." As Bora left, Yi Jin stood and walked to the window again. She looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, her daughter was waiting. Hay was alive. She had to be. Because if she was not, then Yi Jin had become this cold, vengeful creature for nothing. "Hold on," the Queen whispered to the stars. "Wherever you are, hold on. I will find you." But deep in her heart, beneath the certainty and the hope, a small voice whispered doubt. What if everyone else was right? What if Hay really was gone? What if the Queen was chasing ghosts? Yi Jin pushed the doubt away. She had to believe. Without belief, she had nothing left. The stars glittered in the darkness, keeping their secrets. The salvage station on Frontier Post Delta smelled like oil and recycled air. Wu Park sat in the corner of the bar, nursing a drink and watching the news feed on the wall screen. Another battle. Another loss. The N were tearing each other apart while the rest of the galaxy tried to stay neutral. "Sad business that," the bartender said, a four-armed who liked to talk. "Heard the Queen lost her daughter months back. Still hasn't named a new heir. Some say she's gone mad with grief." Wu said nothing. He sipped his drink and checked his data pad. No new contracts, no rescue missions, nothing but salvage work and cargo runs. Boring work, safe work, the kind of work his commander wanted him doing. His communicator buzzed. A message from Captain Lee. "Wu, office, now." Wu sighed and paid his tab. He walked through the station's corridors, past merchant stalls and repair shops, until he reached the Human Coalition office. Captain was waiting behind her desk, arms crossed, looking annoyed. "You put in another request for a search and rescue mission," said. It was not a question. "Yes, ma'am." "Into territory." "Yes, ma'am." "For the 3rd time this month." "Yes, ma'am." Rubbed her temples. "Wu, we've been over this. The coalition is neutral. We don't take sides. We definitely don't run suicide missions into enemy space for clients who can't even pay us." "Someone needs to. Someone needs to keep their head down and not start an interstellar incident," interrupted. I know you miss the old days. I know search and rescue was your thing, but those days are over. We're contractors now. We play it safe." Wu clenched his jaw. He knew she was right. He knew the rules. But he also knew that every day people were trapped behind enemy lines. People were dying in prison camps. People were waiting for rescue that would never come because it was too dangerous or not profitable. "Permission to speak freely?" Wu asked. "When have you ever asked permission for that?" "We're humans, Captain. We're supposed to be the stubborn ones, the ones who don't give up, the ones who do the impossible. When did we start playing it safe?" His expression softened slightly. "When we stopped being soldiers and started being survivors. The war took enough from us, Wu. We don't owe anybody else our lives." "Yes, ma'am." Wu saluted and turned to leave. "Wait," called. She pulled up something on her screen, frowning. "There's been chatter on the underground networks. Someone's offering a reward for information about prisoners in space. Big money. Very specific encryption patterns." Wu walked back to the desk. "What kind of encryption?" "Royal family codes. Someone high up is looking for someone important." Looked at him seriously. "This is above our pay grade, way above. Don't even think about it." "Wouldn't dream of it, ma'am." Wu left the office, his mind already racing. Back in his quarters, Wu activated his personal AI assistant. "Duh, wake up." A soft female voice came from his armor's computer system. "I am always awake, Wu. I was listening to music. Did you know they have 43 scales in their melodies? Fascinating. Need you to do something. Tap into those underground networks mentioned. Find me everything about prisoners, especially anything connected to royal encryption." "That is against regulations." "I know. Captain will be very angry." "I know that too. You are doing something reckless again." "That's kind of my thing, duh." The AI sighed, a sound it had learned from humans. "Beginning search. This will take several hours." Wu settled into his chair and pulled up old files on his personal screen. Images of his sister Sora in her military uniform. She had died 3 years ago when her transport ship was ambushed. No one had gone to rescue her. By the time anyone tried, it was too late. She had died alone, far from home. He had sworn then that he would never let that happen to anyone else, not if he could help it. Wu said several hours later, "I found something, you should see this." The screen filled with data, signal intercepts, decoded messages, and buried in all of it a single distress beacon. It was weak, fragmented, and months old, but the signature was unmistakable. "Royal encryption." "That's from deep in territory," De said. "Sector 94, the prison asteroid called Iron Tomb." "Can you verify it's real?" "The encryption is authentic. Either someone royal sent this, or someone stole royal codes. Either way, it is coming from a very bad place." Wu stared at the signal. It was probably a trap. Even if it was real, whoever sent it was likely dead by now. The smart move was to report it and let someone else handle it. The safe move was to forget he ever saw it. But Wu had never been good at smart or safe. He stood and started pulling gear from his storage locker. Combat armor, weapons, medical supplies, everything he would need for a solo extraction. "You are going," De stated. "Yes." "Alone?" "Yes." "Captain will court-martial you." "Probably." "You could die." "Maybe." Wu sealed his armor and ran the system check. Everything was green. But if someone's alive out there sending that signal, they're waiting for help, and nobody else is going. "Why do humans do this?" Da asked, genuinely curious. "Why risk everything for strangers?" Wu thought about Sora, about the soldiers he had saved, about the ones he had failed to save. "Because someone's daughter is out there," he said quietly, "and daughters should get to go home." That night Wu stole a stealth ship from the Coalition hangar. It was not really stealing, he told himself. He would return it, Probably, if he survived. He programmed the coordinates into the navigation system and engaged the stealth drive. The ship slipped away from Frontier Post Delta like a ghost, invisible to sensors. Behind him, alarms would be going off. Captain would be furious. He would be branded a deserter, a thief, a fool. But ahead of him, somewhere in the darkness, someone was waiting. "Duh," Wu said as the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed. "Play some music, something with hope in it." "I do not think they appreciate music." "Not for them, for me." The AI, soft music filled the cockpit. Wu checked his weapons one more time and watched the stars blur past. He was doing something stupid. He was probably going to die, but he was doing what humans did best. He was refusing to quit. 3 days of travel lay ahead. 3 days to prepare. 3 days to figure out how to break into the most secure prison in space, find whoever sent that signal, and somehow get them out alive. "Duh," Wu asked. "Yes. What are the odds we survive this?" The AI was silent for a moment, calculating. Approximately 3.7%. Wu grinned. "Better than I thought. I was guessing 2%. "You are insane." "Yeah," Wu agreed, settling into his pilot's seat. "That's what makes us human." The ship raced toward space, carrying one stubborn human toward an impossible mission. Somewhere ahead, in a prison that had never had an escape, someone was waiting for a miracle. And humans, for better or worse, specialized in miracles. The Iron Tomb lived up to its name. The asteroid prison floated in the void, surrounded by defense platforms and patrol ships. Wu watched from a safe distance, his stealth ship hiding behind a dead moon. They had built their prison well. Getting in would be nearly impossible. "I count 47 defense turrets," De reported. 12 patrol craft, energy shields covering the entire facility, and those are just the external defenses. "What about the ventilation system?" Wu asked, studying the schematics he had stolen from a data broker. "Too small for you to fit through. They breathe different air than most species. Their vents are narrow. Waste disposal. Shielded and monitored, you would be detected instantly." Wu drummed his fingers on the console. There had to be a way. There was always a way. Humans had gotten into more secure places than this. They just had to be creative about it. "What about the supply ships?" he asked. "They arrive every 6 days. The next one is due in 18 hours, but they scan everything that comes in. You would be caught." "Not if I'm already inside something they expect." 20 hours later, Wu was cramped inside a waste container being loaded onto a supply ship. The smell was terrible. The space was tiny, but the container's walls were thick enough to block most scans, and they were lazy about checking garbage. They assumed no one would be stupid enough to hide in trash. They had never met a human before. "Your heart rate is elevated," De whispered through his helmet speakers. "Try to remain calm." "I'm hiding in alien garbage," Wu muttered. "Calm is not an option." The container shook as the ship docked with the prison. Wu heard the clang of magnetic locks engaging, voices speaking in the clicking language of the heavy footsteps. Then the container was moving, being transported deeper into the facility. He waited. Patience was key. Too early and he would be caught in the open. Too late and he would be dumped into an incinerator. The movement stopped. Silence. Wu counted to 100, then carefully cut through the container's side with his plasma torch. He slipped out into a dark corridor, weapon ready. The prison was cold and dim, the preferred darkness. Wu activated his helmet's night vision, turning the world green. He was in the lower levels where they processed waste. Perfect. No one important came down here. "Duh, where's that signal coming from?" "Upper level cell block 7. You need to go up 4 floors and across the central hub. I am mapping a route, but Wu, there are guards everywhere. Even with stealth, this is very dangerous." "When is it not dangerous?" Wu moved through the shadows, using every trick he had learned in years of special operations. There were powerful warriors with armored skin and multiple arms, but they relied on their strength. They never expected stealth. They never expected someone to be clever instead of strong. He reached a service shaft and climbed up. 1 floor, 2 floors. At the 3rd floor he heard voices. 2 guards were standing at the shaft entrance, talking. Wu froze on the ladder, barely breathing. "The experiments today were successful," one guard said. "The female is proving very useful. Her biology is fascinating." "Bin spends too much time with the prisoner," the other guard replied. "I have reported her. She shows sympathy. It is a weakness. Bin has always been soft. She should not be a guard." The guards moved away. Wu's grip tightened on the ladder. Experiments. They were experimenting on someone. Anger burned in his chest, but he pushed it down. Anger made you sloppy. He needed to stay focused. He continued climbing and reached the upper level. Cell Block 7 was ahead, behind a security door. Wu pulled out a device that had helped him build. It was not fancy, but it could trick most locks. He attached it to the door panel and waited. "Working," De said, "but someone is coming. You have 30 seconds." The lock clicked open. Wu slipped through and sealed the door behind him just as a patrol rounded the corner. He was in a long hallway lined with cell doors. Each door had a small window. He moved quickly, checking each one. Empty, empty. A prisoner from some species he did not recognize. Empty. Another prisoner barely alive, and then. He stopped at a cell near the end. Through the window he saw her. A woman with pale blue skin and long dark hair. She was thin, too thin, with marks on her arms from medical instruments. But her eyes were sharp and alert. She sat on the floor, staring at the wall, her posture proud despite everything. Wu checked the door's display. The name was listed in script, translated, high-value specimen, royal. This was her. This was who sent the signal. Wu used his device on the cell door. It took longer this time. The lock was more secure. Inside, the woman's head snapped up. She saw him through the window. Her eyes widened. The door opened. Wu stepped inside, weapon ready in case this was a trick. The woman stood slowly, studying him. She looked confused. "Who are you?" she asked in perfect universal standard. Her voice was hoarse from disuse. "Corporal Wu, Park Human Coalition. I'm here to get you out." She stared at him. "A human? They sent a human." "Nobody sent me. I came on my own." Wu pulled out a medical scanner and checked her vital signs. Weak but stable, she could walk. "Are you Princess He?" The woman's expression flickered with something he could not read. Pain, maybe, or hope. I do not know what I am now." "You're someone who's going home." Wu heard footsteps approaching. "But we need to move. Now, can you run?" "I can try." They moved into the hallway. An alarm suddenly blared. Red lights flashed. This voice came urgently through his helmet. "They know you are here. Security is converging on your location." "Where's the hangar?" Wu asked, pulling He along. 2 corridors ahead, then left. "But there are 12 guards between you and the ships." "Of course there are." They ran. Behind them, doors burst open. Warriors poured into the corridor, roaring in their clicking language. Wu fired his weapon not to kill but to slow them down. Plasma bolts scorched the walls. The guards returned fire. "Stay behind me," Wu shouted to He. She did not listen. She grabbed a fallen guard's weapon and fired it, her movements trained and precise despite her weakness. "I am a soldier," she said. "I remember how to fight." They fought their way forward. At the hangar door, Wu planted an explosive charge. "Cover your ears." The explosion blew the door open. They rushed into the hangar. Ships lined the bay. Wu ran for the smallest, fastest-looking one. A figure stepped in front of them. A guard, but different from the others. Smaller. She held her weapon but did not fire. "You are taking the prisoner," the guard said in halting universal standard. Yes, Wu replied, weapon aimed. Move or I will shoot you. The guard looked at Hay. I am Bin. I helped you when I could. I am sorry it was not more. Hay's expression softened. You were kind when others were not, thank you. Bin nodded and stepped aside. She pointed at a ship. Take that one, the shields are down. I disabled them, go quickly. Why are you helping us? Wu asked. Because this is wrong, all of this is wrong. Bin looked sad. Go, before I change my mind. They ran to the ship. Wu fired up the engines while Hay sealed the hatch. The ship lifted off. More guards poured into the hangar, firing. Bin stood in their way, giving them precious seconds. The ship blasted through the hangar's energy barrier and into space. Behind them, the prison's defense platforms activated. Turrets tracked their movement. Hold on, Wu said, throwing the ship into a hard turn. Plasma fire streaked past. He pushed the engines to maximum and dove toward the nearby asteroid field. You are a good pilot, Hay said, gripping her seat as the ship spun and weaved. I've had practice at running away. Wu grinned despite the danger, usually from people trying to kill me. A plasma bolt hit their rear shields. Alarms screamed. Shields at 40%, De reported. We cannot take many more hits. Wu flew deeper into the asteroid field. The ships followed, but they were larger, less maneuverable. He used the asteroids as cover, flying between them at speeds that made Hay gasp. Finally, after what felt like hours but was only minutes, they broke free of the pursuit. Wu activated the faster-than-light drive. The ship jumped, leaving space behind. In the sudden silence of hyperspace, Wu and Hay looked at each other. She was free. Against all odds, she was free. Thank you, Hay said quietly. I had given up hope that anyone would come. Someone always comes, Wu replied. That's what humans do, we don't leave people behind. Hay's eyes filled with tears. For the first time in 7 months, she let herself believe she might actually make it home. The stolen ship shuddered as it dropped out of hyperspace. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. Wu cursed under his breath. The ship was falling apart. The escape had damaged more systems than he thought. We need to land, De said. The engines are overheating. We will not make it to safe space. Wu checked the star charts. They were in a contested system claimed by neither side but dangerous for both. A few abandoned stations, some asteroid mines, no major military presence. It would have to do. There, Hay said, pointing at the screen. She had been quiet since the escape, still processing her freedom. That station, it shows minimal power but functional docking. Wu guided the dying ship toward the old mining station. They landed with a crash that threw them both forward. Smoke filled the cockpit. They grabbed emergency supplies and stumbled out of the ship. The station was dark and cold. Someone had abandoned it years ago, perfect for hiding, terrible for comfort. Wu activated portable lights and found a central chamber that still had atmosphere and heating. We should be safe here for a while, he said, setting down his pack. I can repair the ship, but it will take time, maybe 2 days. Hay nodded. She moved stiffly, pain evident in her movements. Wu pulled out his medical kit. Let me check your injuries. I am fine. You're not, sit down, that's an order. She almost smiled. You cannot order me, I am a princess. Not right now, you're not. Right now you're a rescued prisoner who needs medical attention. Sit. Hay sat. Wu carefully examined the marks on her arms and neck. They had been studying her, taking samples, running tests. She flinched when he touched certain areas. He worked gently, applying healing gel and bandages. Why did you come for me? Hay asked suddenly. You said nobody sent you, so why? Wu was quiet for a moment. I intercepted your distress signal. I knew if I reported it, people would debate and plan and eventually decide it was too risky. By then, you might be dead, so I came myself. That is incredibly foolish. Yeah, I get that a lot. You could have died. You still might die getting me home. for someone you do not even know. Wu finished bandaging her arm. My sister was a soldier. She died when her unit was ambushed 3 years ago. Nobody went to help them in time. She died alone, waiting for rescue that never came. He looked up at Hay. I made a promise to myself after that. If I could help someone get home, I would, no matter what. Hay was silent. Then she placed her hand over his. I am sorry about your sister. She would be proud of you. Maybe. She always said I was too stubborn for my own good. That stubbornness saved my life. They shared a small smile. Then Wu stood and started unpacking supplies. We should rest. Tomorrow I will work on the ship. We need to be ready to move quickly if we are discovered. That night Hay had nightmares. Wu heard her crying out in her sleep, speaking in her native language. He went to her and gently woke her. She gasped, disoriented, her luminescent skin flickering with distress. You are safe, Wu said quietly. You are not there anymore. Hay's breathing slowly calmed. I dream I am still in the cell, that the escape was another of their experiments, testing my hope so they could measure my despair. It was real, we made it out. But we are not home yet. She looked at him with haunted eyes. What if we do not make it? What if my mother thinks I am dead? She must have held my funeral by now. She must have moved on. Mothers don't move on from their daughters, Wu said. Trust me. My mother still keeps my childhood room exactly as I left it, even though I have not lived there for 10 years. Your mother is waiting for you. How can you be sure? Because she is a mother, that is what they do. The next day, Wu worked on the ship while Hay explored the station. She found old computer terminals and managed to access some news feeds. Wu heard her gasp and went to see what she had found. On the screen was a video of Queen Yi Jin. The footage was from a recent military briefing. The queen looked different, harder, colder. Her eyes had a distant quality. She looked so sad, Hay whispered. I did this to her. Did this, not you. I promised I would come home. I broke my promise. You're keeping it now. You're going home. But before Wu could say more, De's voice cut in urgently. Ships approaching. Multiple contacts. Military signatures. They rushed outside. 3 warships were entering the system. Wu's heart sank. Had they been tracked? Were these ships here to help or to hunt? The largest ship hailed them. Wu activated the communication panel. A stern face appeared on screen, an officer with sharp features and cold eyes. Unknown vessel, you are in contested space. Identify yourself immediately. Wu looked at Hay. She stepped forward into view of the camera. This is Princess Hay of the Empire. I am requesting safe passage to Prime. The officer's expression did not change. That is impossible. Princess Hay died 7 months ago. You aren't, possibly a spy using stolen DNA. Commander, Hay said, recognizing him. It is me. I remember you. You served under my father before he died. You have a scar on your left arm from the Battle of 3 Suns. You told me once that. Silence, snapped. They are clever. They could have extracted these memories. We will board your vessel and take you both into custody. If you are who you claim, the truth will be revealed. If you are spies, you will be executed. Wait, Wu said. Just scan her DNA, compare it to the royal database. That will prove. We will do things properly, interrupted. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Wu and Hay looked at each other. They had escaped the only to be captured by her own people. But before either could respond, new ships appeared on the sensors. Human coalition vessels, 3 of them led by Captain's ship. The communication channel changed. His angry face filled the screen. Corporal Park, you have exactly 10 seconds to explain why you stole coalition property and vanished for a week. I was rescuing someone, Wu said weakly. Clearly, looked at the ships. Commander, I am Captain Lee of the Human Coalition. That stubborn idiot on your screen is one of my people. He is also one of the best rescue specialists in the galaxy. If he says he rescued Princess Hay, I believe him. Your belief is noted, replied coldly, but irrelevant. We will take them both into custody. You will not. His voice turned hard. The woman was rescued by a human operative. That makes her under our protection until we can verify her identity properly. You want to take her, you go through us first. The tension was electric. 3 warships, 3 human coalition vessels. One wrong move and this would become a battle. Then another voice cut through, calm, measured, powerful. Commander, stand down. On screen appeared a woman Wu recognized from news broadcasts, a human coalition diplomat named Min. She looked tired but determined. Ambassador Min said, surprised, I was not aware you were in this sector. I was negotiating trade agreements when I heard about this situation. Commander, I understand your caution, but threatening a rescue operation is not the answer. Let us verify the woman's identity together. If she is Princess Hay, she should be reunited with her mother. If she is not, we can address that situation appropriately. Hesitated slowly, he nodded. Very well, but we do this by the book. Full DNA analysis, memory verification, everything. Agreed, Min said. 2 hours later in the medical bay of ship, the tests were complete. Stared at the results on his data pad. His hand trembled slightly. It is her, he whispered. Stars above, it is really her. Hay sat on the medical bed, exhausted. Wu stood beside her, ready to protect her even now. Approached slowly and dropped to one knee, pressing his fist to his chest in salute. Your Highness, I beg your forgiveness. I should have known. I should have. You did your duty, Hay said gently. In these times caution is wise. I forgive you. The commander stood, tears in his eyes. Your mother will be overjoyed. We must get you home immediately. Yes, Hay agreed. She looked at Wu. And this human comes with me. He saved my life. He deserves to see this through. Wu started to protest but cut him off. Oh, you are going. You started this mess. You get to finish it. Besides, she added with a slight smile, someone needs to explain to the Queen why we let one idiot corporal break half our regulations. The journey to Prime began. Hay was finally going home. The crystal spires of Prime gleamed in the light of 3 moons. Wu stood at the viewport of the flagship, watching the capital city grow larger as they approached. Beside him, Hay was silent. She had barely spoken since they entered her home system. Nervous, Wu asked. Terrified, Hay admitted. What if she does not recognize me? I look different. I feel different. 7 months in that place changed me. She will know you. Mothers always know. The ship landed at the royal palace. Had sent messages ahead, but he had been careful. The news was too important to risk leaking before the Queen could see for herself. Only the most trusted advisors knew what was coming. As they walked down the landing ramp, Wu saw the palace guards standing in formation. Their luminescent skin glowed with surprise and confusion. Some of them recognized Hay. He heard gasps and whispers. Admiral Bora was waiting at the entrance. When she saw Hay, the admiral went pale. Her data pad clattered to the ground. It cannot be, she whispered. It is me, Bora, Hay said. I am home. Bora's eyes filled with tears. She dropped to one knee, then stood and embraced the princess fiercely. Your mother, she said, voice breaking. Your mother has been waiting. She never stopped believing. We all told her to accept your death, but she refused. She knew. Where is she? In her private chambers. She has been there all morning. She said she felt something in the air today, something different. Bora looked at Wu. You are the human who found her. Corporal Wu Park, ma'am. You have done something incredible, something impossible. The Queen will want to thank you personally. They walked through the palace halls. Wu tried not to stare at the beauty around him. Crystal walls, floating lights, gardens that grew in impossible spirals. They had built something magnificent, but none of it compared to the expression on Hay's face as she walked these familiar corridors again. They reached a set of massive doors. Bora touched a panel. "Your Majesty, I have something urgent. May I enter?" There was a long pause, then "Enter." The doors opened. Queen Yi Jin stood by the window, her back to them. She wore simple robes, not her royal regalia. Her hair was unadorned. She looked smaller somehow, more vulnerable than Wu had imagined. "What is it, Bora?" the queen asked without turning. "More casualty reports, more battles lost, more reasons to hate the—" "No, your Majesty." Bora's voice was gentle. "Something else, someone else." Yi Jin turned. Her eyes swept over Bora, then moved to Wu with mild curiosity. Then they landed on He. The queen froze. Her face went through a dozen emotions in a second: disbelief, hope, fear, recognition. "Mother," He said, her voice breaking. Yi Jin's hand went to her mouth. She took one step forward, then another. Then she was running, all dignity forgotten, all queenly composure abandoned. She crashed into her daughter and wrapped her arms around her, holding on as if He might disappear. "You are real," Yi Jin sobbed. "You are real, you are here." "I am home," He whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I kept my promise, I came home." They sank to the floor together, holding each other. The queen was crying openly now, all the grief of 7 months pouring out. He cried too, finally safe enough to release all the pain and fear she had been carrying. Wu stepped back quietly, giving them space. Bora touched his arm and guided him out of the room. They stood in the corridor, listening to the sounds of reunion inside. "Thank you," Bora said simply, "for bringing her back to us. I just did what needed doing." The galaxy is full of people who know what needs doing. Very few actually do it. Hours later, after the initial reunion, Wu was summoned back to the queen's chambers. He entered to find Yi Jin sitting with He, holding her daughter's hand like she might never let go. The queen had composed herself, but her eyes were still red. "Corporal Park," Yi Jin said, "come closer. I want to see the human who gave me back my daughter." Wu approached and bowed respectfully. Yi Jin studied him with intense eyes. "How did you find her?" the queen asked. "I intercepted a distress signal, your Majesty. It had royal encryption. I traced it to a prison and went to investigate." Just like that, no authorization, no backup, no plan. "I had a plan. It was not a very good plan, but it worked." Despite everything, Yi Jin almost smiled. "He tells me you came alone. You stole a ship and flew into enemy territory alone to rescue someone you had never met." "Yes, ma'am." "That is the most foolish thing I have ever heard." "Yes, ma'am." "It is also the bravest." Yi Jin stood and walked to him. "You gave me back my daughter. You gave me back my hope. You gave me back my reason to believe there is still good in this galaxy. How can I possibly repay such a debt?" "You do not owe me anything, your Majesty. I was glad to help." "Nevertheless, you will be rewarded. Name anything you desire: wealth, land, a position in my court, anything within my power to grant is yours." Wu thought about it. He thought about the war. He thought about all the other prisoners still trapped behind enemy lines. He thought about humans trying to survive in a galaxy that often dismissed them as primitive. "Your Majesty, I would ask for something that benefits more than just me. An alliance between the Empire and the human coalition. We might not have your technology or your numbers, but we are loyal. We do not abandon our allies. We do not quit when things get hard. We could be good friends to have." Yi Jin looked surprised, then thoughtful. "You ask for nothing for yourself, no personal reward." Getting Princess He home was reward enough. The queen studied him for a long moment. "He told me what you said in that abandoned station, about your sister, about your promise. You humans are strange creatures. You are physically weak compared to most species. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Yours are short. And yet, you do things that others consider impossible. Why is that?" Wu considered the question. "Maybe because we do not know any better, your Majesty. We are too stubborn to accept what others say cannot be done. We see someone who needs help and we help them. We see a problem and we solve it. We do not worry about whether it is logical or safe or smart. We just do what feels right. That kind of thinking could get you killed. Yes, ma'am, but it also saved your daughter. Yi Jin nodded slowly. You have your alliance, Corporal Park. I will personally negotiate the terms with the human coalition, and you have my eternal gratitude. You will always have a home here should you need one. Thank you, Your Majesty. Now go get some rest. You look exhausted. We will hold a proper ceremony tomorrow. Wu bowed and turned to leave. He stood and followed him to the door. Wu, she said quietly, I never properly thanked you for everything, for not giving up on me, for risking your life, for being stubborn enough to try the impossible. Like I said, it is what humans do. Is it, or is it just what you do? Wu shrugged, maybe a bit of both. He hugged him suddenly. It was brief but genuine. You are a good person, Wu Park. The galaxy needs more people like you. The galaxy has plenty of people like me. They just need reasons to be brave. The next day, the entire empire learned that Princess He had returned. The news spread like fire. People danced in the streets. They sang songs of joy. They spoke of miracles and blessings from the stars. At a formal ceremony, Queen Yi Jin presented Wu with the Star of Honor, the highest civilian award in the empire. She did it personally, pinning the medal to his uniform while the entire royal court watched. Let it be known, Yi Jin announced, that Corporal Wu Park of Earth exemplifies the best qualities of his species and of all thinking beings. He is courageous. He is loyal. He is stubborn beyond all reason. And because of these qualities, my daughter stands here today. The Empire formally recognizes humanity as allies and friends. May our people stand together in the darkness. The court erupted in applause. Wu stood there, uncomfortable with the attention but honored by the recognition. He smiled at him from beside her mother. Later that evening, as Wu prepared to return to the human coalition, He found him at his ship. You are leaving so soon, she asked. I have a commander who is very angry with me. I need to face her before she sends bounty hunters. He laughed. Will you visit again? Maybe, if you need another impossible rescue. Let us hope I do not, but yes, please visit as a friend. I would like that. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the 3 moons rise. Wu, He said, why did you really come for me, the truth? Wu was quiet for a moment. Because someone's daughter needed to come home, that is all the reason I needed. He's eyes glistened with tears. Thank you for seeing me as someone worth saving. You are a princess. No, you came before you knew that. You came for a stranger sending a distress signal. That is different. That is special. Wu boarded his ship. As he lifted off, he looked down at the glowing city below. Somewhere down there, a mother and daughter were together again. A family was whole. A promise was kept. This voice came through his helmet. Captain is requesting immediate contact. She does not sound happy. She never does. Patch her through. His face appeared on screen, scowling. Park, you are in so much trouble. Yes, ma'am, but it was worth it. His expression softened slightly. Yeah, it was. Now get back here so I can properly yell at you. On my way. As his ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, Wu smiled. He had broken rules. He had risked everything. He had done something incredibly stupid and incredibly dangerous. He had done something human. And somewhere in the galaxy, a queen slept peacefully for the first time in 7 months, her daughter safe beside her. Because one stubborn human refused to accept that impossible meant impossible. Because that is what humans do best. They do not quit.